So yeah, we're back, and how do you deal with that? The discovery, you know.
Well, it's really, I'd say, plugged into so much of what I teach. Like what I teach isn't
Yeah.
really about actively doing something to be attractive.
Yeah.
It's about just putting out very basic things. Putting out eye contact. Making that, seeing how they respond. Just asking them questions. Stuff I talked about 2 years ago at the convention.
Yeah.
Of just really being curious, showing just genuine interest in who they are, what they're about, and then leaving them space, and then seeing what they do, what they say, who they are, and and as they open that up, show either be honest with myself. Is this something that I'm really enjoying? Is this something that not just she's hot, so I'm going to love everything that she says. But is this something I'm jiving with? Is this something I appreciate? And I've got enough experience to see how women can act one way and it's awesome, and women can act another way and it turns me off. But so, very much to just give her opportunities to open up, give her opportunities to kind of be who she is. And then just being honest with myself about if I actually like that or not. And if so, being more curious, more interested, getting more out. And if not, just kind of losing interest and seeing if maybe she's going to recognize it and say, okay, I was being an asshole. That's not who I am.
Man, if you could, walk me down. I mean, everybody's different, and I know how unique you are with this, to truly find the unique individual. But what was the last kind of date that you went on or experience you had with a woman where this kind of unfolded, just so guys can get these points that you're talking about? And by points, I don't mean specific action. I took her to Froyo, then I said, but walk us down an experience that you had.
I'd say there's, the majority of every so often, and it's a rare thing, you find the people that you really just click with, where talking is you just start talking to them and it's the best thing in the world. It's easy as can
time
be.
Disappears
There's nothing else you'd rather do. Exactly. It's the best. I mean, so there's there, but then, those don't happen that often in your life. Those are more few and far between. So a question I get a lot is, well, how do you enjoy the interim? And in between there, I think that there's a lot of people who, you maybe it's not like that. It's not like that very rare thing that happens, but it's more. Oh, geez, how do you even describe that? Your values are relatively the same. You care about the same things. They're a decent human being. Your senses of humor line up. You enjoy laughing together as they open up. They're saying things that you can appreciate. They're saying things that you care about, talking about their family or talking about their friends. They're not just kind of, I've tried going on dates with women that it's just they're this plastic image of whatever the magazine or the TV say they should
they
be.
got that checklist,
and it's more than that. Even if we don't completely match up on anything, I'm going to enjoy myself a lot more if a woman is really putting herself out there. If she's really, not just kind of going through the same plastic steps, just like with guys, I think. It's the same,
big time.
Same thing that's attractive or not. And if I can see that she's the kind of person that can just be real, that can just be genuine and do all the same things that I'm trying to do, find somebody else that can be real with her, that's just going to make me respect her. That's going to make me want to spend more time with her, even if it's not, for forever, or even if it's just a friendship.
I got this for you with, you talked about commonalities and stuff like that. One thing that I find really interesting, and this is tough, dude. I mean, I have to check myself on this all the time. But I remember I did these interviews way back when about American culture. It was totally separate thing. And, what is American culture? What do you like about it? What do you dislike? All that sort of stuff. How would you change those things? So I interviewed all these people, but there were people, I went in with an agenda of I want to, have this ideology, highlighted. I interviewed people that were totally outside of what I thought. Let's say, they were, pro-life and I was going for the pro-choice thing or whatever,
Yeah.
And just, if I talk to somebody with a common belief of mine, sometimes they would end up getting wrapped up in that, and then we weren't having a human connection. The people that I disagreed with most or like was like so alien, had no commonality, we hit a commonality of like, okay, you think this way, I think this way, but you know, this is why I think it. And I started to understand people. And I was like, wow, in true socializing, there isn't any judgment, like when we're connected.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's what I'm always looking for when I'm like, wow, how can I, you know, if there's this girl and she's from wherever and maybe she has a shield up or a wall, if that lowers, man, that's like such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's what we try to teach our guys to do. I love
Well, that's
the
what
example.
I see you do, you know?
Yeah, it's because it's not about, you hit the nail on the head, it's not about, you know, do you agree or disagree with my position?
Right.
It's is whether if you agree, but it's still just kind of come from this like plastic thing, like I'm just reciting something I heard somewhere else because I think it's like the right thing to say or because it works. It's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel I'm not gonna connect with that person. Whereas even if they disagree, if it's coming from like their real genuine belief, if they're really speaking their mind, they're speaking their heart, then I'm gonna feel that person. I'm gonna connect with them. I'm gonna want to talk with them more.
Yeah, no, man, it's just such a cool thing. This is something that we were talking about, and I just was thinking about it, going like, wow, I'd like to talk, when I do interview Nick, I'd like to talk about this, but we were talking about orgasm and some of the orgasmic meditation stuff that you've done, and you have a friend that is like, you know, teaches this in unique ways, but we just started, we started talking about that expression of women, expression of sexuality, being in love with that. Like, when did this start for you? And like, not that you're like this like super connoisseur, because some people get like cult-like into it, you know. But yeah, like, how did you fall into that? Like, tell me the story of that.
I've Christina Berkeley is the person you mentioned. If anyone's familiar with orgasmic meditation, the big name in this space right now, Nicole Daedone and One Taste. They're kind of the biggest brand of orgasmic meditation, really getting the most publicity right now. And Christina used to work with One Taste. She used to be kind of Nicole's right-hand woman running the New York area. And there was a lot of stuff with the practice of simply, you know, pussy stroking that Christina wanted to do differently. And so she kind of broke off. And when I first met her, I was just looking for a female assistant for my programs. And brought her on, and I quickly realized the stuff she was sharing and the advice she was giving was just a whole different level. And I mean, she's helped guide my, you know, what I teach and my thinking around all this as much as anyone. And so I met her when she was going through this transition away from One Taste and on her own thing. And as she started building her own practice, this was maybe 2.5 years ago, I started, you know, she's telling me, oh, you come in and you
of course.
You stroke pussies.
That was my initial drop
like,
too.
Well, it's my interest. How can you not be interested in that? It sounds fascinating. But at the same time, you know, my own sexuality, my own relationship with women, these were all things that I was very much working on, very much trying to improve and figure out for myself. And so this practice sounded very attractive to me. And so she really started forming her own thing, and I said, you know, good friend of mine at that point, let's, you know, I'm in, this, like, sign me up. And so she took me through the same process she took everyone else, the same training process, and, you know, I started doing it, and yeah, it was hugely beneficial, I'd say, just for my relationships with women, not even a sexual way, but really being, you know, comfortable with women, not just, as I mentioned, not just kind of looking as, oh, how can I achieve sex, but just being comfortable with my sexuality, with feminine sexuality, in a much more healthy way.
I think there's an element to sex as a man that you really touch on a lot, like with this speech and just your general vibe. Like in the 2012 speech, you may not specifically be saying this, but there's a part that's the urge, where you see that chick, like when we're in the back of the, you know, this could have happened or not, but in the back of the conference room, we're like, fuck, I need to see those tits.
Sure.
I want to see what happens in between those legs. But then there's this other side that's, but no, man, that's like animal shit, dude. You're like, fuck.
It's God-given, man.
And men need to get in touch with that. And I think you hit on that very well. But then men need to hit on or get in touch with the rapport side. Like, how can we feel. And then there's this other side with the orgasm of like, how can we exist in this sexual state, in the act of sex with this woman, and feel her absolute expression, you know, potential, and allow connection to happen, you know, allow the two things to become one. And you just say it really well, you know, we're almost out of time, but what, about those three things, you know, the urge of man, the rapport, and then the state of sex.
I think the big trouble that I've had, that I think a lot of guys have, is that we have these completely natural, beautiful, you know, desires, feelings, urges. But then it's like we've been trained in our society, we've been trained in our upbringing to quickly, like our ego just takes over, our head takes over. Oh yeah, I want her because it'll be this status and I'll feel so good about myself when I'm banging this hot chick.
Right.
And it becomes this just mental process, and then the mental, well, how can I get her? How can I can achieve that? And we completely cut ourselves off. Like it comes from a great place, but then we just kind of are taught our entire lives to make it about this ego-driven thing.
Yeah.
And so to kind of learn to, you know, when that's happening, to not just flee off into this kind of unhealthy place with it, but to learn to keep it where it belongs, to keep it. And that's why the practice is called orgasmic meditation, because you're experiencing the sexuality, but it's really more about learning to meditate on those feelings, learning to hold them. And be present with that natural urge. And if you're coming from that place, it's gonna feel good. It's gonna, for yourself, for the other people around you. But you know, once it becomes this kind of mental process, this ego-driven process, it's gonna make everybody kind of less satisfied and less happy with it.
Man, no, that's badass. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Nick Sparks, how do we find out about you?
SparksOfAttraction.com. My upcoming book, Attraction, Make Women Want You and Men Respect You, should be hitting the bookshelves in the next month or two, so check that out.
Man, can't wait. It'd be awesome. Good to have you, man.
Pleasure, Steve.
Wow, guys, that was a cool podcast. Man, just an awesome experience. If you guys could leave some feedback, leave a comment. We'll get back to you if you give us some thumbs up, some likes, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be a part of this awesome movement and following that we're doing here at the 21 Convention. I'm Steve Mayeda, and we're signing off.